Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Three tips here, and this is my electrolytic silver cell. It's been running for about a little over 2 weeks now. There's our current flow and our voltage that we're running through the cell. Notice I've got my inline fuse set up on this thing because we're late in the process. So that's an inline 3 amp fuse, and it's connected to the anode bar here. And the purpose of that fuse is to blow the circuit in the cell if the silver crystal reaches up and comes in contact with the anode filter basket. It'll short it out, and it'll ruin the batch of silver. The slimes from the anode basket will leak down into the silver cell down here and ruin this batch of silver. This is about 2 weeks worth of growth. Should be about 2 kilos of pure silver in here. If you look down in our anode filter basket here, I'm gonna pull the anode electrode bar up out of here. And we've got a bunch of silver cell slimes down in here, and it's wet. And the anode bar, the anode electrode bar, is getting ready to make contact with the silver nitrate electrolyte in here. And I don't want that because I don't want this bar dissolving. And it will dissolve if it comes in contact with this wet material in here. So in order to prevent that, what I've got is a silver bar. And I'm just gonna set that in here. And I'm going to put the electrode bar on top of that, and that should prevent us from making contact with the electrolyte and having our anode electrode bar dissolve. And we don't want our anode electrode bar to dissolve because we can use it over and over if we keep it up out of that electrolyte. Here I've got a weighted pair of tweezers. Just kind of, it's improvising here to hold the anode electrode bar in place because this wire is not sturdy because of the inline fuse that I have in place. I've been operating my small 3.5 liter stainless steel silver cell for the last few times because it's small and the silver that it produces is easily handled. And so what I'm going to do, I think this time we're going to give the beast another shot. This is my 6 liter silver cell, and we're going to try to run that one more time. I've been working the bugs out of this thing. It's got a few problems. Some of the crystal grows up and makes contact with the basket in here, and there's a whole bunch more silver. This should produce about 4 kilos of pure silver. And what I've got is this bucket down here is full of impure silver. That's probably about 6 or 7 kilos of impure silver from my gold refining. When I refine gold, I use sterling silver, and I use nitric acid to pull the sterling silver back out of the gold, and then I recover the silver from that, melt it into shot, and this is what I use as feedstock for the electrolytic silver cell. Before we get started, I've got a bottle here that's got some pure silver crystals in it from a previous silver cell refining. They're in this container with distilled water, and they're unusually large pure silver crystals, unusually shaped. You don't normally see them like this. And I've got these in this water. What I'll do is offer this for sale on my eBay site just as a novelty, and I'll post a link of the video that shows the harvest of these large crystals. I think there's about 270 grams of pure silver crystal in here, and we'll put this up for sale on my eBay site as a novelty. If you don't want it, just pass, but if you do, it'll be available on there. We're going to begin the process by putting a large 4-liter beaker up here. We're going to tear the scale to 0. Now we're going to add some pure silver crystal from a previous silver cell harvest. This is about 2.4 kilos from my last silver cell harvest. And we're going to put this right into this beaker. I'm going to measure out 1 kilo of this pure silver. And we're going to use this to make the electrolyte for the beast. 1 kilo of pure silver crystal. There we go. We got 1,012.5 grams of high purity silver in a 4-liter beaker. Here's our 1 kilo of pure silver crystal. And to it, I'm adding about 1.5 liters of distilled water. This is for the electrolyte. Now what I'll do is I'll set this pure silver crystal that's in distilled water up on our heat source. I haven't added any heat yet. Look at that beautiful pure silver that I harvested from a silver cell run. I'm going to use this silver to make our electrolyte for the beast. I'm going to use 0.8 milliliters of nitric acid per gram of pure silver in here. So I'm going to fill up this jar right here to the 800 milliliter level with 68 to 70% concentrated nitric acid. Now what I'll do is dump a portion of our nitric acid in with our silver and distilled water in here and begin dissolving this pure silver crystal with this nitric acid. I don't have any heat going to it yet, and I probably won't put any heat on here until after the reaction starts, so that I don't boil it over. I'm adding the nitric acid slowly in increments. I didn't want to dump it in all at once and create a boil over, and I don't have any heat going to that beaker just yet. I've got all the nitric acid in there now, and you can see the silver crystal is dissolving down off the bottom of that beaker. It's got a blue color to it because of the way the nitric acid reflects the light. That's not copper contamination in there. Here we go. I'm going to add some heat now. Low at first, but what we want is a rolling boil in here. All the fumes gone and a little bit of silver left down at the bottom of the beaker. Here you can see I had it at a rolling boil. This was done early, but I decided just to go ahead and let it simmer all night to ensure that I don't have a whole bunch of excess nitric in my electrolyte. I've allowed this to simmer overnight to ensure that we've got all the nitric out of our solution. As you can see, it's got a nice boil going on, no fumes, and just a little bit of silver left down in the bottom of the beaker. That ensures that we've got all the free nitric expelled from that solution, consumed out of there. So I'm going to turn this off now and let it cool down. Here you can see the amps are wandering all over the place. So this thing is done. Our anode basket is full of nothing but silver cell slimes now. So what we're going to do is kill the power, Gonna unhook the anode bar, and we'll move this out of the way. Just set it off to the side. You'll notice that the anode bar is still intact, and we can still use it over and over as long as we keep it up out of the electrolyte in that anode filter basket. Same with the negative pole off the power supply, and then I'll just unwind it back here and disconnect it, and we'll move this wire out of the way. Loosen the hose clamp and drop it down out of the way and remove our cathode connection here, which is just this copper strap. And get this out of the way. Remove our sacrificial silver bar here. You can see some of the slimes have adhered to that. And we'll keep this. We can use this again in a later silver cell run. Now I'll take the anode filter basket out of here and get it out of the way. Let's pull our cover off and get a look at our prize. This is the pure silver crystal that we've grown over the last 2 weeks. Should be about 2 kilos of pure silver in that silver cell. Let's get this thing out of the way here. Just gonna lift the cell up now and empty the used electrolyte into this beaker. Try to do this without making a mess. Now let's scrape down the inside of the bowl, get all the silver off of here. Transfer the silver into a clean beaker here. This is high purity, investment grade, 3/9 fine or better, pure elemental silver metal. Probably close to 2 kilos of it. Rinse this off with a little bit of distilled water, and we'll add this rinsed water to our spent electrolyte beaker. silver, man, is beautiful. There's at least 2 kilos here, probably more than that. I'm going to take this electrolyte now, and we're going to put this in a fume hood and cement the silver out of this solution so we can recover it. I'm going to take a piece of clean copper. I'm going to stick it in here, and we're going to cement the silver out of the solution onto that piece of clean copper. What's happening here is, in accordance with the reactivity series of metals, copper being a more reactive metal than silver, what's happening is the silver is reacting with the copper, coming out of solution, out of that electrolyte, onto the copper, and then falling to the bottom of the beaker, and the copper is going into solution. The two metals essentially are trading places. So now what I'll do is I'll just rinse the silver over and over with distilled water, and we'll save the rinses because it's going to have a little bit of silver in it, and it usually takes about 6 or 7 of these rinses to get all the electrolyte rinsed off of the pure silver. And judging from my last harvest, this is going to be more, it feels like anyway, pure silver than my last harvest, which was 2.4 kilos of pure silver. I've done about 7 rinses. I'm going to do one more boiling water rinse on this just to make sure that I've got all of the electrolyte rinsed off the silver. Now let's put the silver in a dish so that we can dry it off and get a weight on it. I think I've got the weight written on this one somewhere. There it is, 1366. I'm going to take this over, put it on some heat, and dry it off. Got a filter set up over here, and what we'll do is go ahead and filter our electrolyte now. I'm going to use a old-fashioned gravity filtration for this. Just going to pour it right through the filter here. This is the 1 kilo of pure silver that we dissolved earlier in the video. And then once I got all the silver nitrate poured through the filter, then I added some distilled water to the filter to rinse the filter out down into the silver cell. Let's get this thing out of the way now. I've got some distilled water here. And what we'll do is dilute the solution with some distilled water. Just gonna pour it right on in. All right, that's right at the 6 liter level. Perfect. Let me give this a stir. Okay, we should have 1,000 grams of pure silver dissolved in nitric acid in 6 liters of liquid for the electrolyte. Put the cover on this thing so nothing falls down in there. Now let's fill up the anode filter with some of our impure silver here. I think I remember weighing this out one time, and this filter will hold about 4 kilos of impure silver shot. Just gonna put our filter in here now, and this filter will protrude down into the electrolyte. The bottom of the basket with the silver in it will come in contact with the electrolyte down in the cell. Here's our anode electrode bar. It's the same one that we used in the previous refining. I'm just going to connect that up here to the positive side of our power supply. If you look in here, you'll see that the anode basket is making contact with the electrolyte. Got all the connections made up. Here we go. We're going to fire up the power supply. I hope we don't exceed the amps. This power supply is only rated at 6 amps. Let's go. Let's see what happens here. 0. Got the negative side into the ground connection here. So we're going to have to swap that out and put it over here onto the negative side of the power supply. Turn this off. Okay, now we should get some current flow. I'm going to turn the power supply back on. Here we go. All right, now we're getting some current flow through the silver cell. I've got the beast up and running. And we'll just keep an eye on this. This will probably run for the next couple weeks. And I just got to say, this thing is a little bit too big for me. I do not like working with it. It's big and bulky. And I prefer the small 3.5 liter silver cells over this big 6 liter cell. Here you can see the difference between the big one, the 6 liter cell over here, and the 3.5 liter cell. The smaller cell is easier to handle. It's easier to harvest the crystal. I just prefer the smaller cell over the large one. Well, this is good. I've got the beast up and running. There's the current flow. Here's the pure silver that we harvested from the 3.5 liter cell. Let's zero this out. And here's Here's the pure silver. Looks fantastic, man. There's the weight of the pan. So we're going to put it on the scale now. Looks like we got 3,714 grams. 3,714 minus 1,366 equals. So it's about the same yield as the last time we harvested the 3.5 liter cell. We've got 2.3 kilos of high purity silver from the silver cell. All right, man, this will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everybody for watching.